homesteaders, gardeners, and cooks, and my name is Jennifer. Welcome to Miles Away Farm. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen. Today, I thought I would show you how I dry lemon balm. But this is also how I dry most of my herbs, and I dry a ton of herbs. Everything from rosemary and thyme, parsley, basil, catnip, all kinds of mints for teas and to mix into seasoning blends. This is my process of how I do that. I also sell some spice blends commercially, and so I'm taking some additional precautions with this that you don't necessarily have to do in your own home, but I thought I'd show you the way to do it if you really wanted to be confident that there wasn't anything on your dried herbs that could be a contaminant. And so this is the process that I go through to do that. Lemon balm is a lovely mint family herb. You can tell it's in the mint family because it has square stems. So if you roll it in your fingers, it has 4 sides. The mint family is one of the only plant families that has that. And in light climates, it will behave and not spread. And if you're in most of the United States, it will spread like wildfire as soon as you plant it. So once you have it, you'll never be without it. We actually did not plant it on the property that we're on now. It was here when we got here, along with a whole lot of catnip. And because, as my husband says, it's not pokey and it's not toxic, we've just pretty much left it. And so we have patches of lemon balm all over the property, and we just harvest it in the early part of the summer months. So this is early June, which is a great time to harvest any of your herbs before they start to go to flower. And so this is the time of year to do that before it gets away from me and I get too busy with other projects in the garden. Let's get started.
So I'm adding just a couple of teaspoons of bleach to a sink full of water to make a sanitizing solution for this herb. I don't know what kind of dirt or bird poop or who knows what is on here, and because I actually sell some of this, I want to make sure that I have sanitized it as much as possible. That bleach that's on there, and it is a very tiny amount, completely volatilizes off when it's in the dehydrator, and so it has no effect on the end result. You may be thinking, can't you just use vinegar? You could, but vinegar is not really a great sanitizing solution, and usually when it's used that way, it's used straight out of the bottle. You can't put a couple of teaspoons of vinegar in a couple of gallons of water and expect it to actually have any kind of real result in terms of sanitizing your herbs. But swish everything around a bunch, give everything a nice good bath, and then also pick out any random things that ended up in there that I didn't want. You could pull the leaves off of this and just dry the leaves if you wanted to. I find it much easier to strip leaves off of plants when they're dry than when they're fresh, and so I put the whole leaf on the tray. It does mean you're going to get less in the dehydrator because they're going to take up quite a bit more room, but I think in the long run I save time doing it this way, but do it whatever makes the most sense to you. And so I'm not doing one layer here, I'm piling this up because I know it's going to shrink a lot. It looks like I'm right up and down there, but I'm not. I'm actually at about a 45-degree angle. I'm trying to drain off as much liquid as I can before I put that in the dehydrator, because everything I get off now is just less time it's going to take to dry later. And then this is a 9-tray Excalibur dehydrator. I do like this a lot more than the round dehydrators just because you can get a lot more into them. And you can see here, this is the leftover dirt in the sink. And so even though the herb doesn't look like it has much dirt on it, by the time you get a sink full of it, you've actually got quite a bit. Closing the lid here, and then this is just the lowest temperature that I can dry this on, which is 105. A lot of herbs have a lot of volatile organic compounds that will flash off at high heats, and so you really need to do as low of a temperature as possible. I could have also just tied some bunches of this and hung them to dry in the air, and we probably would have been fine as well. Here I'm checking it about 24 hours later, making sure that everything is good and crispy and is going to come right off of those stems. It really doesn't take very long, and you don't want to dry it past when it needs to be dried, just because you're going to be blowing off any of those volatile compounds as you dry it. stripping off each one of these, and you can see this goes pretty quickly. And again, I think it's just a much easier way to do it this way than it is to do it the other way around. The botanical name for lemon balm is Melissa officinalis, and you will often hear herbalists refer to this herb as Melissa. And it has a lot of medicinal uses, the primary one being that it's really calming, it's great for anxiety, it's good for stomach upset that's caused by anxiety. It's also antiviral, and so it makes a very nice addition to ointments for cuts and scrapes and that kind of thing. It's been shown to be effective with herpes virus, although that is usually the essential oil, not a tea or a tincture. And the essential oil is wildly expensive because it is not a plant that has a lot of essential oil in it, and so the volume of plant that needs to be distilled in order to get a little bit of that essential oil is very, very large, and therefore it is very, very expensive. And I just crush it with my hands because it takes up a whole lot less room if it's a little bit crushed. You can leave those leaves whole if you like. And then I store it for later use in teas, tinctures, ointments, whatever I need it for. And if you are new to home herbalism and you would like to know what books I use, I will leave links to a couple of my favorites below. The best one to start with is anything by Rosemary Gladstar. She's really fantastic. And the best way to get started with herbalism is to simply make teas, and lemon balm is a fantastic place to start. Thanks for watching, Tribe. If you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment, and share. I have new content coming out every week.